Hi all of you, this is Gil. So on this video I'm going to talk about my budget, and I'm going to talk about like how do we afford California, so like this is how I budget. As you see, I got like my list of my budget. So yeah, anyway, so you know what, it's like, if anyone would be asking how do we afford California, it dates back in 2009 when we bought our first house, me and Jenny Lynn. But it was before that when we got married in 2003. That mobile home that I was living in at the time, I was only paying like $260 a month for rent, the space rent. At the time, that was really cheap, So, me and Jenny Lynn lived in that mobile home for 6 years total after we got married. And so for me, I lived there 8 years total, but with Jenny Lynn for 6. And because it was cheap, we were able to save money, So Jenny Lynn was able to save up all her money, because she got a job, I had my job, and she had her job. So we were able to save money. So, all over time, Jenny Lynn, she had this thought about saving, as much as she can. So going into 2009, we had a total of about $9,000. And it was actually enough money to put the down payment on the house. And then we bought the house at the beginning of the crash, in the housing crash. We bought a house in Rialto in the crash, because since it became affordable at the time, we were able to afford a house back then, because it was not like before that when the prices went out of hand. But we were able to afford a house when it crashed, right? So we bought the house there. Then we lived there for 6 years, and we sold it because of my dumb reasons for wanting to sell it. But it gained double the value. And so we used the equity to buy a mobile home and stuff. But we didn't like the mobile home later on, and then we moved back to a house. We wanted a house again because we wanted the freedom to do whatever we want, because with the mobile home, you don't have freedom to do what you want. So we moved into this house, the last one that I was in. But apparently, we decided that we wanted to upgrade, since our income was looking okay, looking pretty good. Or we just wanted to upgrade a house since we were able to afford it. Well, it's actually because we saw that our house gained a lot of value in equity. Well, it gained a lot of value, so it gave us an opportunity to sell the house and use the equity to move into the upgraded house. And at the same time, we were able to pay off all the credit cards that we were required to do so, and pay off the car and everything. So we had a lot of equity on that last house. So apparently, because of that, that's how we were able to buy the new house. Otherwise it would have been a challenge for us to try to save like $40,000-$50,000 to get a house. But it was because of the equity of the house, the last house that we had, and dating back to 2009. That's basically how it all happened, really. How we became to be able to afford California, So that's the quick story of how it became, how we're able to afford California. Anyway, Now to get with the budget, what's our budget? Well, Jenny Lynn, she had her job since 2014. At the moment, she's getting $22 an hour, working as a what do we call that? A social worker assistant. And for me, I work at the distribution center and driving a high reach forklift. Jenny Lynn gets $22 an hour, and she's had her job for quite a while. And for me, I'm working as a forklift driver, and I get $17.50 an hour here. So, typically Jenny Lynn brings home about maybe over $3,000 a month, maybe $3,300 at the moment. For me, I bring home the low is about maybe $2,200 a month for 40 hours, you know, like when I work 40 hours. So the two of us together make about 5,500 roughly. And then plus I have a YouTube. The YouTube makes me money. Thank you guys. So yeah, with YouTube I get about 500 a month. So our average low is about $6,000. Like on some months I might work a lot of overtime, and so I could bring home a lot of money on those months, you know. And Jenny Lynn sometimes might work a little overtime as well. But for me, sometimes I might bring home more than $3,000, or sometimes I could bring it home as much as $4,000, like take home, and that's take home. So, well, anyway, with the budget of say $6,000, you know, so I mean, my budget here is like we pay $300 a month for our cell phone. We have 6 lines, and that includes like payments on the phone, and like payments on all our upgraded phones, you know, like we make payments on it. And then on the car insurance, we pay $240 a month for all 5 cars, and it's liability only. Alarm service in the house, we pay $55 a month for that. Cable TV, well, it's ATT TV that I have, pay 80 bucks for that. Internet, we gotta have internet, so I mean we pay $75 a month. And the gym membership, we pay $35 a month for the 2 of us. And then health insurance, well, for the health insurance we're paying $350 a month for all of us, including babies. You know, babies get my kids get Medi-Cal, and while me and Jenny Lynn we're on insurance, like through my job. Apparently it's through my job as one of the benefits in my job. So I have insurance through my job, so it gets deducted from my check. So I mean, apparently I don't really include that in the budget, in my budget, because it's automatically deducted from my check. And when I get my paycheck of $1,100 every 2 weeks for 40 hours, I mean, that's the money that I have, and that's like the insurance had already been deducted. So totaling, besides insurance, health insurance, we pay about $800 in bills. And then for the home, for the house, or the home, you know, like electricity, we pay about $100 a month. Gas, about $50. Water and sewer, we've been paying about $150 a month because we have automatic sprinklers, and it's a way of keeping the grass green, you know. But otherwise, it'd be about $75. So it's like we're paying $75 extra dollars to keep the lawn green, you know, I mean, so to speak. Trash, we pay about 30 bucks a month. And then mortgage, you know, the rent, we're paying $3,000 a month for that, the house. So, I mean, it's an upgrade. See, the house, we upgraded from a cheaper house to something more nicer and a more pleasurable neighborhood, or like more it's a desirable home in a desirable area. So yeah, I mean, like, we have the ability to do that because our jobs make more money than we need. So besides the house, the rent, we're paying like $325 a month for utilities. So for the everything but the rent, it's $1,300 roughly. Yeah, or it's actually more like $1,100 roughly, not including the rent. And then if we include the rent, that it's like, I would say $4,200 in bills that we pay. $4,200 a month, give or take some money. I mean, and this budget of $4,200 that I pointed out does not include the health insurance, because it's automatically deducted in my check. So I mean, the actual amount of money that we really need is $4,500 a month, like to pay everything, the house and everything, but that's not including food and gas. So I mean, that's just to pay all the bills. $4,500 a month, for which $300 gets deducted automatically from my check. So like my checks give me like after the deductions. So I mean, so anything above $4,200 a month we use it for food and gas and other entertainment and other needed things. So like I said, my income is about $2,500 on average, plus YouTube another another 500. So that's $3,000 for me, and then for Jenny Lynn makes a little over $3,000. So the two of us together will make more than $6,000 typically. But I'm gonna budget low. I'm gonna do budget for the average low of $6,000. So, and then just keep in mind that this budget is like, you gotta remember, you gotta check this out. You know, like the fact that, you know, we budget for 28 days. So this is like a gift, a secret here. We're budgeted for 28 days, like a month, right? But I mean, because we get paid every other week, you know, so we're budgeted for 28 days. And but remember that each month has more than 28 days. Some months will have 31 days, and there are certain months that will have 3 Fridays and 3 Thursdays or whatever day that you get paid. So that kind of helps, you know, like kind of like give you breathing room, but without realizing that it is. So yeah. So, but like I say, like the $6,000 estimated income, it is after insurance, my health insurance is deducted, like I said, and then I need $4,200 out of the $6,000 average low, which is $1,200 in bills, and then $3,000 for the rent or mortgage, and that's leaving us with about $1,800 left, like pretty much our average for food and gas, and a little bit of entertainment. And then you do have to understand, or like this is to keep in mind, that all this that I just pointed out for myself, that I don't have any car payments or credit card payments per requirement of the escrow and the loan company when we got the new house. So yeah, I mean, we don't have any car payments or credit card payments. So you probably might ask, what do we budget for our food and stuff? Well, you know what? It's like we go out a lot. We go to fast food a lot. I mean, but because we tend to get kind of lazy. We work, like sometimes we work 40 hours, or sometimes I may work a lot of overtime, and we get kind of lazy to cook, and so it's more convenient to buy McDonald's or something. And so we spend on the average of $25 a day each pop. So I mean, you figure like we might do it 5 or 6 days a week, you know. So I would say like the average is $150 per week. So that accounts for like $600 a month in fast food. Yes, I mean, and then the other, like say $250, we made like every month we go to the grocery store and spend like $250, like on the average. Like the average. Sometimes we might go twice a month and spend about $125 or something, but typically $250 is what we spend on groceries a month. It's kind of like an estimate, and that includes like the soap, that includes like the non-grocery items like soaps and hair soap and other things like that, you know, like things like that. So it accounts for about $850. I mean, we spend on groceries and fast food for food, you know. $850, I mean, give or take a little, like in my well, it's like my well, and then the gas, the Kia, this Kia here, I drive, like I use 1 tank per week to go to my job and back and pick up Jenny Lynn or my miscellaneous things that I need through the week. That's like about, I mean, $250 a month, you know, $60 a week. So it's like $120 every 2 weeks. It's like about $250 a month in gas at the current prices they are right now, $6 a gallon. And then, you know, for leisure, outside of commute, I might spend about $100 worth of gas throughout a month. In the month's time, that's about a tank of gas, you know, tank and a half throughout the month for non-commute. And then, you know, entertainment, you know, like what I would include as entertainment is, So my way of saying entertainment is when we go to the fancy restaurant. You know, sometimes we go to Golden Corral or one of those other fancy restaurants like Outback Steakhouse or something. And almost every time we go there, we're gonna spend about $100, you know, because it got more expensive these days. We probably only do that maybe once a month, you know, maybe. But like we gotta have fun, you know, going out to a fancy restaurant or places like that once in a while, you know. And other things of entertainment. Sometimes we might go to the mall and just buy a little this or that, or do a little this and that at the mall. I mean, it's because it's fun once in a while, you know, to things like that, you know, like so. Now, then for car maintenance, we have car maintenance. Like for car maintenance, we spend about $100 a month. You know, I said $200 on my last video. But, I mean, but for us, I would say about $100 a month. But that's talking about all 5 cars that we have here, you know. So, yeah. Maintenance for all 5 cars. And, you know, I'm actually including the registration, the tags every year for each of the cars. I'm including that in the $100 a month. So that's car maintenance, like oil changes. I mean, I don't really have to maintain the car that much because I don't drive it that much. I mean, I only drive the Kia about 1,000 miles a month, and then the other cars maybe a couple. I don't drive that much, so I mean, I don't need a lot of maintenance on those. But I just go ahead and say the tags and the normal and the oil changes here and there for maintenance. So it's like $100, including tax, and then $50 a month I spend on other needed things, you know, like haircuts and maybe appointments, you know, like me and Jenny Lynn combined, and even babies, you know, like our kids. You probably spend maybe $50 a month on average, you know, like for a haircut or other things like that. So I would say about $1,400, like give or take, needed for our food and gas and entertainment and other needed things, and that not including the bills. So the grand overall that we need is about $5,600. You know, that's the grand overall, the absolute minimum that we need. So you probably remember on the last video that I put, like where like the bare minimum was like $3,200 for a normal family of 4, or like, well, that was kind of like talking about me. I mean, but you got to remember that everybody's different, you know, like everybody has different demands or needs. Some family of 4s might eat a lot more than us because they're bigger framed than we are. They're bigger, taller, or whatever. I mean, they probably eat more, or they're probably more active or whatever. So, I mean, and then, you know, of course, and they have different needs and everything like than we do. So, I mean, everybody's different. So for me, when I said the bare minimum was like $3,200, I was kind of like referring it to me and Jenny Lynn and us, and the $3,200 was speaking of having an apartment, like a cheap apartment in an ugly area. But for us, the bare minimum for us, for where we're at right now, it's $56, give or take. And that includes the upgraded house that we have compared to an apartment that I was talking about, the cheap apartment in an ugly area. So $5,600 for us is the bare minimum, for which $3,000 of those is for the house, you know, for the rent, you know, yeah. And just remember, for us, you know, we don't have any car payments, and we don't have any credit card payments. And still another thing too, for us, you know, apparently we don't do things like drink or smoke. You know, I don't drink or smoke. So, I mean, that the budget that I put of $5,600 is for the house that we have, like a pretty nice upgraded house in a very desirable area that a lot of people say is desirable. And $5,600 is including a desirable house, a very desirable house, and our food, gas, and all of our bills, like phone bills and everything, you know, including gasoline for the cars that I need and car maintenance. $5,600 is the bare minimum that we need a month. So again, like I said, that's having no car payments and no credit card payments, though. And I don't drink or smoke or anything, which would cost extra to some people. Like for some people who do drink or smoke, you know. So yeah, I mean, so with that in mind, the 5,600 that I was saying, give or take, that the bare minimum we need, which I said a million times, like, which includes the upgraded house that we have, instead of a cheap apartment in an ugly area, like with $5,600 that we need, like out of about $6,000, which is like the average low income that we get, $6,000. So that would leave us with roughly $500 left after all that. So, and then with that extra money, we could use that either for extra food or extra entertainment, or typically we like to go shopping on eBay or Amazon. We like to buy a little this or that on eBay or Amazon, like here and there. I like going there and I'll buy stuff here and there, or we might do a little shopping around, or like might do extra entertainment or this or that, or sometimes we just save it. We just save the money. I mean, a lot of times we just save the money. I mean, you know, but also you got to remember too that, you know, our income fluctuates. You know, that does fluctuate, because you got to remember that sometimes I work overtimes. Sometimes I'm going to work a lot of overtime, and other months it's going to be 40 hours. I mean, it fluctuates. So, I mean, of course, like, so on some months we might make like $7,000 instead of $6,000. With all this overtime I get, I might make $7,000. And then if I make $7,000, let's say for 1 month, that extra $1,000 that I get, I would probably likelihood just be saving it. I mean, just likelihood save it. Or if I have something that I really, really want, that since I have that extra money, I'll go ahead and buy it. Which in this case, before I had bought the electric scooters and electric bike kits, and I'd done things like that before when I had all that extra money, you know. So yeah. So for some of you, some of you may wonder, like, about the 5 cars that we have at this moment, you know, like, some of you might wonder, how do we do 5 cars without any payments? Well, it dates back to 2013 when I bought this Kia brand new, but that was 9 years ago as of today. And of course, you know, like, by the time I've had it for 9 years, it's going to be paid off. Apparently, I paid it off a long time ago. I had the car for 9 years. Mercury, I bought that car for $1,300, and I borrowed money from a credit card, but this was 8 years ago when I bought it. Now, of course, that's going to be paid off a long time ago. I had 8 years to pay off the $1,300. And for the Camaro, we actually bought the car on a payment plan, and we were paying $300 a month. But when we sold our house, the last house, the bank to buy the new house required us to pay off everything, and we had plenty of equity to pay everything off, including the Camaro. So the equity did that for us. And then for the truck, the 05 Ford F-150, well, about that truck, over the last couple of years, with all this overtime that we were working, I mean, a lot of 12-hour days, 7-day weeks sometimes. I mean, with all that overtime that I did over several months, or over the last couple of years, I managed to pay everything off in cash. I managed to get some of that money, all that money to buy the truck in cash with all that overtime. I deserve a little something to pay off a car, you know. And then for the RAV4 that I just recently got a month ago, or two months ago, well, my family member, like Jenny Lynn's family, you know, they were basically going to get rid of the car. They wanted to just give it away or get rid of it. I mean, they wanted to just sell it quickly. And so, I mean, for $1,000, you know, I could not miss out on that deal. I mean, that was something that I could not miss out on, that, because that would make a good car for Jenny Lynn to drive, or even my youngster to learn to drive eventually. And then we don't have to worry about messing up a $10,000 car while they're practicing to drive and stuff, you know. So, and plus, you know, it would make a nice backup car, you know, like, too. I mean, so yeah, I mean, so that's where that, and then, you know, where did I get the $1,000? Well, like, with the little bit of equity that I had left, I was able to use that, and plus a little bit of overtime that I had in the last year. I mean, I had that money lying around, so So, of course, you know, $1,000 in today's times is really easy to come up with, you know, like making $17.50 an hour. I mean, it's easy to save $1,000 working over with all this overtime. It's easy to save $1,000. So there you have it. I mean, so that's the story of how we're able to do 5 cars. 2 of these 5 cars, I had them for a long time. So yeah, I mean, and then of course my truck, and then the RAV4. I mean, I was able to use all that overtime money to pay it in cash. So yeah, and plus the RAV4 was only $1,000. So yeah.